24 minutes past the hour. Hello, this is Newsday from the BBC. Wow, tweeted the president as the US Supreme Court ruled in favour of the latest version of President Trump's travel ban. During his presidential campaign, he spoke about stopping Muslims travelling to the US. One of his first actions as president was to order a ban, which was thrown out in a series of court challenges. But now the Supreme Court in the US has said the ban is lawful. It puts limits on travel from Iran, Libya, Somalia, Syria and Yemen, as well as North Korea and Venezuela. Christi Jackson is a lawyer who specialises in US immigration law at Devine Solicitors in London and joins us here in the studio. What was the point of principle, first off, that the Supreme Court disagreed with the lower courts on?
Well, so essentially what the Supreme Court has done is said that they are unwilling to overstep the power that the president has to make decisions restricting access to the country when it could affect national security. And so the interests of the nation, they felt, should be left to the president, which is allowed by law. And so they were really unwilling to overstep that authority that the president has.
Now, is that a re-establishment of what most people believed was the case? And I'm just trying to put it in the context with all these lower courts saying the president was wrong. The president, that's been the narrative for so long. Well, is this a corrective now?
It is. I mean, that's why we have the Supreme Court. So that cases arrive at the Supreme Court after going through the lower courts, where lower courts made decisions one way or the other, and they continue their journey upwards. And the Supreme Court makes the final ruling based on the Constitution and on the laws. And so, that's how we arrived
because
where we
the president was always saying the lower courts are politicized. They're taking a political decision. This is the liberal elite working against me. In effect, can he now turn around and say, see, the Supreme Court said I was right all along?
I think that's exactly what he has turned around and said. So, yes, exactly.
Now, what's interesting is this issue, particularly of kind of like whether the judges are partisan, how political this is. Now, should we look at their judgment in partisan political terms? But when we talk about conservative and liberal judges, is it a different thing? It's not quite political.
It isn't the same as the Republicans and the Democrats.
Right.
It's not political. We don't have a political party system within the Supreme Court. However, I think it's well known, well understood that the justices are divided based on their own political ideologies. So we end up with conservatives and we end up with liberals. And I think one of the telling features of this decision is I expected this decision to come out the way it did. A lot of it would have probably been different had Senator Mitch McConnell not stalled the Obama appointment of what would have been a more liberal Supreme Court
justice. And then we get Judge Gorsuch, who everyone was saying he's going to come down on the more conservative side.
And he did.
You see, what's interesting is wasn't what we were hearing a great deal from campaigners, ACLU, people like that, but also lawyers. They were saying, but during his campaign presidency, he made absolutely clear he said, I want to ban Muslims. Now, he's not allowed to do that legally, but the Supreme Court said, actually, that's not what he's trying to do, despite what he said.
Well, and that was the feeling of the dissenting judges. They said you cannot take away what he put out in the public sphere, that he very clearly said it was a Muslim
ban, which is why everyone referred to it as a Muslim ban.
Exactly. I mean, his own written tweets very clearly say that's what he was
So what is the Supreme Court's line on that? They're saying you shouldn't judge his actions by what he said on the stump.
Exactly. They say, those are statements he made before he was president. They also, indicated that the ban itself does not refer to religion in any way. And
so Venezuela and North Korea, not majority Muslim countries, are on the list. Therefore, we assume it's not religiously driven.
Well, and I think also that had the ban actually said we will ban Muslim citizens from these countries, but no one else, we would have had a problem.
And we haven't even had time to talk about family separation. Thank you. But in this case, just remind us, this is it. It doesn't go any further. You don't get higher than the Supreme Court, do you?
Not unless the Congress does change parts of the Act.
Okay. Right. So there is a little bit
the
more
elections,
on this.
Yes.
Okay. Many thanks indeed.
Thank
really
you.
appreciate it. Christi Jackson from Devine Solicitors.